Welcome back. You're watching Cheche with today's guest, the Chief Executive Officer of the IEBC, Ezra Chiloba, and Wavinya Ndeti, who is the Chairperson of the Political Parties Liaison Committee. And the question we've been addressing ourselves to this morning is that given the opposition to the strategic plan, and it seems to be that it's opposition to both the plan itself, because the political parties feel that they were not involved, but also how the plan was unrolled. Can the IEBC deliver free, fair and credible, and unfortunately because of the Kenyan context, peaceful elections?
So going back to the debate, I think, by the way, on reflection, I noticed that launching a plan is not a legal requirement, and the critical factor here was everyone involved enough? Because people have said, yeah, we have consensus, let's proceed with the implementation. So launch for us was just symbolic to be able to move forward. So I don't think that should be an issue. The issue should be how can we work together moving forward. Yeah, now I was going to that. You see, a plan is a long-term focus of the institution, 5 years. Now, 2017 is 2 years away. What do we have for 2017? We have what we call the 2017 Elections Operations Plan. Basically looking at the bigger picture under the strategic plan, but then now narrowed down on what type of elections do you want to have in 2017. And in that operations plan is where you look at, for example, if you're going to do voter registration, how are you going to register voters? Where and when? Do you have enough money? What staff do you want? If there are law reforms, what are the necessary reforms that are supposed to be undertaken? And just mentioning about law reforms, by the way, and where I think all actors now, political parties and civil society organizations and government can work together, is that by December this year, it would be useful for us to have closed in on all the legal gaps that have been identified by the different stakeholders going forward. So if you have that closed by December, we'll be in a better position to start rolling out other activities. Okay, so that's the legislative infrastructure. The legislative infrastructure. And our discussion now says there's some parliamentary committee on justice and legal affairs anticipates that by September they will have finalized with the bill. So here is where I see a very important input by the different stakeholders when it comes to legislative reform. From the Commission's perspective, we are targeting to start voter registration in December, November, December, looking at how the resources will be deployed to us. And we are saying we want to carry out at least one full month registration exercise across the country so that we bring on board a critical mass of potential voters who are out there. Let me put this out there. If there was more collaboration between yourselves and the political parties, would voter registration be difficult given that we see politicians every week at rallies and funerals? Yes. And so could these people not be, instead of insulting each other, calling on their voters and their supporters to ensure that they voted? Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. And we had a meeting with the parliamentary parties through the Justice Legal Affairs Committee. They have the same view, and we have more or less the same view. And if you remember, in April or May, the Commission issued some report on voter registration pattern. Is an article which I penned. And following that, what we've seen is that there are changes. There's change in attitude. You see that some politicians are now mobilizing their people to go and take ID cards, okay, and they're encouraging them to go and register. Elections start with voter registration, and here is a neutral platform where we can work together.
I think, Ezra, it starts with an ID. If you don't have an ID, you don't get a voter's card. So the first thing that you should be doing is to make sure that people have IDs, whoever you work with. Because however much these politicians are going to tell people to register as voters, if they don't have IDs, now we already have a crisis in some parts of Kenya, like in Western and other places, where they are saying if one does not have an ID, they be denied sex. You see, now they are addressing men. Oh yes, that's what's happening with work. They are saying if you don't have an ID, then you should be denied sex. because they have and they're now addressing men, not women. So women can do those things, and so long they are not going to vote. So we are saying, how? The question I'm asking, how can you work with the registrar of persons or whoever other department to make sure that Kenyans have ID, so that by December or November you don't start voter registration, but there are no people to register because they don't have IDs.
Can I respond to that quickly?
Yes, please.
This afternoon at 2:30, I have a meeting with the director of National Registration Bureau, and those are the issues we're going to talk about.
And see, what I want to tell you, Ezra, you know, we have done this before as politicians.
Yes.
You understand? We have mobilized, we have worked with the registrar of persons.
Yes.
And they've managed to give us clerks to go on the ground on market days, or even call meetings in different areas to have people come and register. What you need to do here, you need to look at it in another. You need to work with the registrar of persons, IEBC, and also political parties. So if we say it in certain areas, we have a timetable to go on the ground and mobilize people.
And those are the details that are going to be captured in our election operations.
A good example, A good example, Ezra, is when we had the committee of experts. Now, let me tell you about it, because I participated. The committee of experts did a good job because they mobilized Kenyans. The last one I went with them was in Kapengure, Makutano, and they would go to a stadium, they will explain to people, and they will make even people get documents. IEBC is so mean. You want to take chicken to London, but you cannot go to Kapengure and mobilize them. I'm sorry to use those words. I'm saying here, why can't IEBC spend money to go out there and mobilize Kenyans? They'll see the commissioners talking to them. You know, the IEBC commissioners behave like the old judges, you know, guys who are not seen, or guys who are in boardrooms and not seen. Why can't you go out there and they are seen by Kenyans and they talk to them and ask them, register as voters so that you can get an opportunity to do that, and you'll be registering them there.
Okay.
And can I say something?
Yes,
Ezra, some of these things as IEBC you're doing, but you're not talking, so people do not know what you're doing. The last time you guys were in Kajiado, there's a time I called the chairman of IEBC. You are on the ground in Machakos trying to sensitize people to register. You know, I think you need to look at the way you do things as a commission.
Totally, and that's why we have a new plan.
Communication.
That changes the perspective of how we
your communication is poor.
Okay. So going forward then, going forward, we seem to have addressed the problems. Ms. Ndeti, would you agree that we've addressed the problems around the plan? So how do we ensure that your strategic plan is acceptable to the political parties and that we don't have this sort of fallout in the future? How do we go forward? How do we move ahead?
It's my expectation that in the next couple of weeks we should convene again with the different stakeholders, especially the political party leaders, so that we have a common understanding on what the plan is all about. And if they have any issues that are valid, are you able to take them on board and revise your plan? Exactly. We're able to take them on board because, as we also said, that a plan, you must start from somewhere. But as circumstances change, as perspectives also change, you're supposed to accommodate new thinking, and that should be acceptable.
What I want to say also, all of us, when we are meeting now and talking, we should not come on the table with the anger for 2013. We should put all that behind and work out something that is going to be good for all of us and for everyone to be comfortable in 2017.
But even as we talk to Ezra Ndeti, as the chair of the political parties liaison committee, how are you helping the commission? You know, because our fear is when you also given too much room, you political parties, you go and derail them. How are you talking to your stakeholders, the political party leaders, so that even when you are approaching IEBC, you approach it with an open mind? And I want you now to tell Kenyans, what is your position as far as called threat that they are not going to participate in the elections in 2017 if IEBC either is not removed or they are not involved in this?
You see, it is their right to give their threats, but it is right for God to give threats, but I feel all is not lost. we should now sit down and polish whatever issues we have, because this is our country and we're all not going anywhere, and they should be competitive elections. No party should withdraw from the elections. And also as political parties, as we also tell IEBC or the registrar of political parties to clean their houses, we as political parties should also look into ourselves and work with IEBC and registrar of political parties in a structured manner.
Before we leave, because we're winding up, a personal question for you,
yes.
Because it seems to me, I'm not sure I'm not the only one who thinks this, that you have Kenya's worst job. Because whichever way you look, you're damned.
I don't think you should take it that way. I don't think so.
Well, let's allow him to respond to that.
Yeah. Well, you know, before I joined IEBC, I used to work for the UN. I used to work for the UN, and for that period of 5 years, we were supporting the government of Kenya to implement the Kofi Annan 4 agenda items, including electoral law reforms. So I saw the transformation from 2009 up to 2013 and throughout the constitution. And I saw that, unlike many other countries, I think we had made significant progress. And we are standing at a point where we are saying, if we are not careful, we are at a high risk of reversing back to where we were. But then there's an opportunity for us to be able to move forward. Okay? So I offered myself to take up this challenge, believing that the future is more promising. But we have to grapple with the challenge of managing the different interests. And those interests will be there, the tension of interest will be there, partly because of the changing nature of incentives. That those people who are used to the past, they don't want to move forward. And that dynamic is there. So my take is that this is a job like any other job.
It's not a poison chalice.
It's not. The thing is that, do you have your mind on the right things? And can you invest in that? And that's what I want to encourage also the young Kenyans out there. There's an opportunity for us to make this country better.
Okay.
And this is, I'm doing my part
right.
in IEBC.
Respond to our viewers who think that you are credible, but the organization, the institution that you lead is not credible. And there are those who fear that you'll be tainted by that.
Well, you know, when sometimes I say, I thought I knew IEBC because of the since 2009 experiences. I thought I knew IEBC until I got into the organization, and I realized even those who talk about IEBC do not understand what it is, okay?
Would you still go for the job knowing what you do now?
Definitely, definitely. So my take is that there are challenges within the organization, and those challenges can be addressed. If we have issues to do with the, for example, the most obvious one, we talk about financial misappropriation, those kind of things. You ask yourself, why do we have them? Can you put in place systems and measures to address that? Okay? So really, here it calls for individual commitment towards that goal. And also to mention to you that we also hired recently some new officers with wide experiences in financial management, audit, as part of trying to build an institution that has credibility. So my take is, as a country, we should not lose focus on the institutions that have been set up by the Constitution. Because individuals will go, but institutions must remain. The question is, what type of institution do we leave behind when we leave?
Okay, thank you very much. And a final question to both Waweru and Ms. Ndeti. Do you believe that the IEBC can launch credible polls, credible and peaceful polls, given the strategic plan and what we've heard today?
Give it to IEBC. I think I must say they've done a credible job when it comes to by-elections. The by-elections that you have held, you've done a good job. You still got room to improve on the national poll so that everybody gets satisfied. Ezra, I said every time I see you, I see hope. As a young Kenyan, and you're encouraging our youth to take the challenges. I think it's very important. It is promising. The only thing I would ask you is not to let us down.
Yeah.
You'll not be in IEBC forever. I wish you could do a good job and leave, like Cheche, and leave us with a good institution, and Kenyans will remember you. Remember that this young man called Ezra Chiloba one time came and made us proud and changed the course of this country.
What I believe we should be able to support Ezra is a new CEO in IEBC. He has a team that he works with. We should be able to really support him and ensure we as political parties and other stakeholders that we have credible, free and fair elections. All is not lost. We can call ourselves young Kenyans who love our country and want the best for our country. So whatever happens is a learning process for us. We have to learn from that and ensure that we do better.
Okay, so our time is up. Well, thank you. Clearly, it's you see that the hopes of millions of Kenyans are resting on your young shoulders, and so we wish you the best as you go about delivering on elections and various other aspects of the electoral culture in the country. And so I'll thank you all for your time, Ms. Ndeti, Ezra Chiloba of the IEBC, and Waweru Mburu, our panelists. And I'll thank you for watching, listening, and sharing your opinions with us here on Cheche. My name is Udwa Kamimo. We'll see you next week.